I love coming to a community where we can celebrate abundance in its many forms, and if it looks like locks on Diane Glenn's hair, let's celebrate it. And let's celebrate. Look to your left and your right. There are beautiful people here. You are above average intelligence, each and every one of you, and you're darn good-looking people as well. How many people in this room are fully spiritual? And you know yourself as a fully, complete, whole spiritual being. And if you don't know that, then listen closely to the message. How many of you know yourself as fully and completely human with all of the ups and downs and everything in between of being? How come more hands went up with that? That's interesting. This could be a good talk for you today. I said it was going to be different, and I know some of you took a look at what was up here on the table. I want you to let you know, if the person who can guess how many gumballs are in this will get 5 prepaid tickets to the next 5 services that we do here on Sunday. I got an idea, Dan. Diane, let's give one of those tickets to everybody. You're all invited back free of charge next Sunday. Bring your offering. So there was a marquee. You saw on the marquee a quote that was out there. And every week we like to put something out there as kind of just to entice the consciousness to get it building. And it said something to the extent of, your brokenness is good soil for greater possibilities. Anybody here ever been broken? From your life circumstance, something that happened, something that brought you to your knees, something that made you feel completely and totally human. And a lot of people said today, I'm not too sure I want to come to a service where they're talking about brokenness. But what if we were to say our brokenness was about breaking open and not breaking down? And I want you to consider today that every experience that you have is for your highest and best good by right of the consciousness you bring to the experience. What if everything that was going on in your life was an opportunity to become more fully you? What if every difficulty, every situation in your life, good, bad, or otherwise, was only there for you to become more of the Christ of who you are, to become more of the light of the world that you know yourself to be? Now, the way to do that, we have to get vulnerable. We have to get humble. We have to get honest and authentic with ourselves in order for that to happen. And that means not just getting vulnerable and honest with what is on the outside of you, but what is on the outside of me. Anybody here ever compare your inside to everybody else's outside? That is a dangerous tool to depression really, really quick, because you feel screwed up on the inside. You feel like there's something on the inside, and everybody else seems to have their act all together. There are a lot of pink people in the world. Have you noticed that? On the outside, oh my gosh, they have it all together. They have the perfect family, the perfect career, and it's like they've been practicing their unity principles, and they have it all together, and I feel like just a little bit less than. There are people that come to Unity North, and because they see people who are growing and stretching, they say, there's too many pink people here, I can't come. And what we get to do is that we get to look beneath the surface. That's what we're doing in this community. And so we take the lid off of every human experience and say, yes, you are pink, but there's so much more to you than that. You are pink. You've got a lot going on, and there's a lot of good in your life, but underneath the surface, we like to break it apart a little bit. And to go, let me look into the inside. Let me pour our guts onto the table, and let's explore something as a mechanism to become greater expressions of who we are. So could it be that beneath the pinkness is, I am lonely, and I need a friend? Is that possible? You know, sometimes the pink people are equally as judged as much as these people. Could it be that there's an affirmation or a statement living on the inside of that pink person is, I don't know who I am, so I've given you a mask. I've given you a pretense. Please accept me because I don't know who I am. Is that possible? We've judged the pink people, yet maybe there's some woundedness that we can find a place of synergy. Could it be that our brokenness connects us? Could it be that our humanness is an avenue and a portal to the oneness that we talk about? Absolutely. Could it be that that pink person is feeling this? I feel incredibly lost, and I don't know how to ask for help. Anybody know any pink people? It's okay. You don't have to put your hand up. Maybe you are a pink person. But the reality is, and I know it's in here. Julie, you put it back in here. What happens is when the pink people pour their guts on the table, in an environment where they are willing to be that vulnerable and open, where most of the world, they cannot be that open. That's how they develop their pinkness. If they're accepted, they are valued, their worth is affirmed, is, I am the Christ. That underneath all of the loss and the loneliness, I need a friend, and I feel empty. If you dig deep enough and long enough into the pinkness, you find I am the Christ. Something that transcends the emotion. Something that transcends the experiences and the thoughts and the feelings and all of it. I am the Christ. Now, got to guess how many there are? Doesn't really matter. Lots of colors. And we are walking around this planet with certain preferences for the colors that we like. Those of you who like green, you're going to see green immediately. Oh, you like green? You immediately see on the outside of this jar the green ones. Those of you who don't like orange, that's also being attracted into your environment. You are attracting orange into your environment. If you have a strong aversion to orange people, anybody who's got an orange personality, anybody who's got an orange essence going on, you're gonna hone in on that as the only thing. I define you by your orangeness. Not the truth that you're a multidimensional being. There's orangeness, green, there's yellow, there's white, there's purple, there's 1,000 colors in the rainbow. But because I have a problem with orange, that's what I hone in on, and that's how I define you. Anybody ever been labeled? Maybe not as orange, but as this or that or this or that. And the reality is, you come together in community to be raw, to be real, to be authentic, and say, let's take the lid off. And let's look at what's on the inside here. And maybe I can suspend for just a moment my judgment of your orangeness, your purpleness, your greenness. Uh-oh. You know, and Julie said first service, she noticed that there was, a lot of these are chips. They're pretty old. I don't recommend coming up and getting one after service. These came from the Uniteens classroom, and they've had middle school hands all over them. Don't put it in your mouth. But she noticed that a lot of them were chipping. The exterior was chipping away of the purpleness, of the blueness, of the whiteness and the red, and underneath was the same color. Every single one was the same color. So we come to Unity North and community, and we dump it out and say, let's put our guts onto the table. And then we get to learn things about each other. Whoop, that's the last one I want to do. And we learn things. I am depressed, and I don't know how to deal with my depression. Now, that's negative. Oh my gosh, the minister is being negative. He's calling out the depression that might exist in the field. Yes, I am. Because that depression could be an avenue to the greatest expression of your life. That depression and that sadness, when acknowledged and not resisted or pushed away or tried to be hidden, could be the greatest avenue to you becoming something greater. My whole life, I have been labeled as blank, fill in the blank. Fill in the blank right now. On a count of 3, I'm going to say that statement, you fill in the blank. My whole life, I have been labeled as. You were a little reluctant, weren't you? I'm about to expose my guts, and the people next to me are going to hear that I'm pushy. One more time. My whole life, I have been labeled as, and I am more than that. I am more than that. I am not just orange. I am not just blue. I am a multidimensional being, and I need to be in your multidimensional energy to discover who we are together, individually, and collectively. I'm going to skip those other ones and go right to the cut to the chase. The one that says, I am the Christ. Underneath my orangeness, my blueness, my purpleness, and my greenness, and every color under the rainbow, I am the Christ. I am the Buddha. I am the Atman. I am the divine essence of God made manifest. And all of this stuff that this world has put upon me, and all of this stuff that I have accepted and said, okay, I'll take it on as my label, that we're hiding behind and hiding underneath, it's not who you are. It never will be who you are. And so we uncover it and get to the place where I am the Christ. Yes? That takes a lot of guts. I have a lot of these people in my life. Describe this for me. Just call out the words. Dark, dirty, small. Did you notice it was smaller? There are a lot of marginalized people in this world that have been discounted, that have been set aside, that pushed aside. In my life, I have had the opportunity, blessed opportunity, to hang out with a lot of these people. And they were called homeless. Negative. They were called less than. It looks like muck, and it looks like dirt, and it looks like it isn't of any value whatsoever. I want to introduce you to some of the homeless people, some of the alcoholic people that I have met in my life, that unless I was willing to take the lid off, unless they were willing to take the lid off, we didn't get to the juice. We took the lid off, and we began to learn about each other. I want to introduce you to somebody I met on the streets of Sacramento. I am a decorated war soldier, and I suffer from PTSD. But I'm hiding that until you sit down and say, let's get to know each other. Let's take the lid off. Let's get to explore something greater. Let me introduce you to another man that I met. I always wanted to be an artist. I always wanted to be a musician. But I gave it up to support my family when my parents died. You never get to that. You never get to that unless you take the lid off and realize that this brokenness does not define you. It's just an opportunity to get more connected. What else is in here? This is the one that really broke my heart. I met this person too. I lost my wife and my children in a flood and have never recovered. Mother Earth is speaking. You notice that right now? Mother Earth is speaking loudly. Pay attention, humanity. Something's going on. And I won't get political about anything except for the fact we just got to pay attention to what's going on the planet. And that means what's going on within ourselves, within our own hearts. We've got to take the lid off and start paying attention. There's another one in there. I met a man who was a 30-year doctor, physician. And through a set of circumstances I won't go into, ended up homeless. Looked like a throwaway person, looked very marginalized. And the church I belonged to at the time, everybody walked by him because he smelled bad and he was drunk. I never got to meet the doctor until I sat down and said, hey, let's put our guts on the table. You're broken, so am I. You're broken, so am I. A different way, different reason. And when we do that, we get to the final one, I am the Christ. I am the Christ, you are the Christ. And how can we use our common brokenness to find a place of oneness, a place of connection that allows us to come together? Allows us to come together and remember the truth that we belong to each other in that Christness, that underneath all the colors, all the judgments, and all the labels is something pure and holy that is untouched by any of it. But what if we cannot get to that pure and wholeness by putting blinders on? Puppy dogs and rainbows. Let's just stay with the rainbows. These are pretty colors, and that's enough. I'm asking you to consider that your humanness is a necessary component for the prodigal son to come home. To not push your human experience and your difficulties and your emotions aside, but to embrace them in such a way that they become the prodigal son story of sitting and eating with the pigs that eventually drives you back home. And when you do that collectively in a community, nothing is more powerful on the planet. You're eating pig slop? Yeah, me too. Good. Let's hold hands. Let's sing songs together. Let's connect at the level of our soul and our brokenness and know that something great is going to happen. I have a quote I want you to read before I show you a beautiful video. Let's put that quote up there, Wes. Can you all read that? I want you to read this with a powerful voice and to take in the power of these words. This is by a woman named Shauna Niequist. Together. When things fall apart, the broken pieces allow all sorts of things to enter, and one of them is the presence of God. Could it be that your brokenness is a portal to come home? Say this again one more time with a more powerful voice. Together. When things fall apart, the broken pieces allow all sorts of things to enter, and one of them is the presence of God. One of our board members was the catalyst for this talk today, Laura Kalia. I'm going to invite her up here in just a moment. Hang tight. And we're going to get really real. The rest of the talk is going to be kind of an interview, kind of a dialogue and a discussion. But she saw a song on the... How many people have seen the movie Ugly Dolls? Haven't seen it yet? It's on my bucket list. I love that I have grandkids, so I have excuses to go see cartoons. This song, it's obviously a very profound movie. It's called Ugly Dolls. Kelly Clarkson sings a song in that movie, and I asked Julie to create a video because we wanted to make sure we were not breaking copyright law. She did a beautiful job. Take this video into your heart, into your spirit, and let's just use it as a context for the dialogue that's about to ensue. Okay, Wes.
Held my hand out and asked for something free. I got pride I could roll out for miles in front of me. I don't need your help, and I don't need sympathy. I don't need you to lower the bar for me. I know I'm superwoman, I know I'm strong. I know I've got this 'cause I've had it all along. I'm phenomenal, and I'm enough. I don't need you to tell me who to be. Can someone just hold me? Don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Can someone just know me? 'Cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. 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 We're walking on the ocean, turn water into wine. We bury our emotion and pretend that we're just fine. The only way to live now is to know you're gonna fly. To listen to the lying lies and their lies. I know I'm superwoman, I know I'm strong. I know I've got this 'cause I've had it all along. I'm phenomenal, I'm enough. I don't need you to tell me who to be. Can someone just hold me? Don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Can someone just know me? 'Cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. Hey, I'm broken and it's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful. Hey, I'm broken and it's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful. I'm tired. Oh, can I just be tired? Without piling on, all sad and scared and out of time. I'm wired. Can I just be wise? Without feeling like I'm failing and I'm losing my mind. Can someone just hold me? Don't fix me, don't try to change a thing. Oh, someone just know me. 'Cause underneath I'm broken and it's beautiful. 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 It's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I'm broken and it's beautiful.
All the pieces of me, take them down, dissect myself and go, how beautiful is every part of me? This is a community where you don't have to hide. This is a community where you can be brave. It doesn't mean you're going to be acknowledged for your victimhood, but it's going to say, I see your beauty, I see your power, I see your grace, I see your God essence, and we're going to go through the muck together, and we're going to explore every single part of ourselves and be there together to find the Christ, because the Christ is right on the other side. Yes? And so I'm going to invite Laura Kalia, one of our board members, up to share the platform. I'm going to ask her some questions and see if her answers don't necessarily fit the place of your answers. And if they don't fit, that's okay, because your answers are equally as valid as Laura's. But she was the catalyst for this. And let me tell you, it takes a lot of courage for her to come up here. The guts and the courage to come up here and be real. I would not recommend eating that candy.
I'm looking for the good.
You're looking for the good stuff, the bark. We got roughage, you and Yule Gibbons. So, Laura, I want you to talk to your family right now, this beautiful, wonderful, magnificent collection of rebels and mavericks and misfit toys. And I want you to answer the question, why does the theme, I'm broken and it's beautiful, appeal to you? Hold that mic close.
So I want to say thank you for this. So if you are a long timer here at Unity North, you know Honey Rubin. Okay? She used to sit in that chair. She wanted to do the Imagine Garden. And one day we were in the car, and she said, "Who are you?" And I told her, "You know that Ajax commercial? Well, I'm that house that's next to it. That dirty, ugly house." And she said, "Oh, honey, that is a story. You need to get rid of that story." So I don't talk about this story anymore, but for today, I'm talking about the story.
Let me ask you a question. What did it take you? We'll get you back to the story. What did it take to stop defining yourself by what was on the outside of the story to get to the guts on the inside?
I had to break.
Okay.
I had to break. I had to get a divorce. If you were here, you know I got a divorce while I was here. And we tend to marry our family when we get married. And we don't know that as young people. If you're young, know that. Get to know yourself for real. So I had to get help. I had to get help, but I've had to get help all along the way. So I was born into a family that I'm from Chicago, I'm Italian, and when my parents came home from their honeymoon, my mother found out she was pregnant with me. And when that happened, she also found out my dad was an alcoholic. And she could not get a divorce because she was pregnant with me. So I was born into a family that she didn't want me. And I found out when I was 18, I was 20 in therapy, just diagnosed with chemical depression, in counseling for severe bulimia and anorexia, and never got thin, by the way. And has had an eating disorder since 8. So that's why I'm here today. Because you can overcome it all.
You had to break some things. You had to break some labels.
Yes.
Right? You had to break some judgments.
Yes.
You had to break some habits. You had to certainly break the stories that never would have gotten you to the place that you are had you not allowed yourself to be broken and let the pieces be on the table. I'm going to own my stuff. I'm going to own my crap so that I can then let go of my crap. But pretending the crap isn't there, more and more crap gets labeled on.
Yes.
Gets piled on the story.
Yes. So I was very lucky. I had aunts that loved me. My gay aunts, God love my gay aunts. That might sound crazy, but because of who they were warriors. They were warriors, and one dragged me to Unity, and one dragged me to AA. And I would have to say, if you're in this room, you were probably broken at some point, because I don't think you'd be here. Because people that weren't broken wouldn't find this place. You have to really want this. You have to really want to see yourself.
So are you saying that unity attracts brokenness?
It attracts people that want to overcome.
There you go. Unity attracts people that are tired of being broken down and are ready to be broken open. And every single person in this room, and I love the analogy you said, every one of you has a gay aunt. Every one of you has that person in your life that has been through being marginalized, that has been through the pain of being discounted, that has been through the pain of being defined and labeled a certain way as less than, and overcame it. Our job is to find those people. Go find your gay aunt. You want to speak a little bit about some of the labels that stuff happens to us? You know, we're talking not just about the issues that Laura had, but abuse, addiction, mental health issues, painful things. We talked earlier about a diagnosis, a health diagnosis, and not defining yourself by the big C word, but by who you are on the inside and not hiding that. Disappointments, failures, loss, it's all part of the human experience. And we can pretend till we're blue in the face that it's not there, but we're never going to heal it. We're never going to get to the place of wholeness. Can you talk about some of those labels and things that you've experienced a little more?
I think you try to hide yourself. Labels are secrets. You know what the labels are, so you have to become somebody else, not to say you never want to hear what the label is, but the label I've always had is fat. For myself, at least. I think I've been told I'm beautiful today more than I've ever been told in my life. And I'm really not kidding. I'm really not kidding.
Yep. Al Mango is a member of our team, constantly says, and I believe this comes from the AA work, we're only as sick as our secrets. You're only going to be as whole as your willingness to put your secrets out there. All the oxen free, come out, here I am. I have nothing to hide from you. Ups and downs and everything in between. It's part of who I am, and I'm going to say it's all good, and it's all holy, and it's not an accident.
And it is all good. It is all good to find out that you have a chemical depression problem, and your sisters do, and probably most of your family. And to learn that most of your family was alcoholic because everything goes in. My uncle died in a jail, drugged up and drunk. So our generations, people that come here, we are breaking the family codes that are to stay silent. Even, I don't know why I want to say this, but even to racism. Because I love all people, all colors, all everything. My daughter is amazing, and her dad is from Africa. And my family would not allow people in. I couldn't have friends over. I brought an African American to my house, and he flipped out. We are breaking all these stereotypes, all these labels, all these things, because people are people, and we just need to love them. And you know what? If there's a bad person, it doesn't matter what color they are. Bad is bad. White, black, Hispanic, whatever.
Let me ask you, is it possible, you said bad is bad is bad. This jar was full of, we could label that bad. Is it possible that bad is just simply a judgment that we have placed on somebody who is in such pain, who is hurting so deeply, that we go, I'm not going to define you by your behavior, because I know on the inside is I am the Christ, and I am going to look with dogged determination to find the Christ, not only in you, but in myself.
It is definitely behavior and not the person. Like, you never want to say to your kid, you're bad. What you did was bad, but you are not bad.
So how are you paying this forward to your daughter? Your daughter is beautiful and magnificent, and she's unique. She's really unique, and she is out there, and she's radical. How are you helping her, or how are you paying forward what you have learned about yourself and about this life to your daughter?
Oh, this is hard to say, but I'm going to say it anyway. I am not putting who she is under a carpet like my parents did to me. My daughter is about ready to take the psychoeducational evaluation, which means she may also have mental illness, behavioral problems, and learning issues. And we are figuring it out at 6 years old instead of 20.
So let me just ask a question of everybody here, and Laura can answer it. Is it possible that when we break the patterns, and we break the habits, and we break the labels, and we break all the judgments that we have carried and taken on, we are responsible. I'm taking it all on, it's mine. That we're not only doing it for ourselves, but we are doing it for humanity as a whole. That we are a part of an energetic shift to a higher vibration where not only am I responsible now for myself, but I'm raising the possibility level for the entire planet. Certainly my small little sphere of my community, my family, my work environment. Is that possible, and how do you see that happening in your life?
Yes. So I've had some really profound things happen to change how I see myself in the world. The first was 34 years old, going to the Landmark Forum after my divorce. It changed me radically. You come out, most of the stuff you learn and how you behave is from the age of 3 to 8 years old, and you decided who you are because of something that happened. I don't remember my childhood, but I can tell you that through new kinds of therapy today, I've come to the conclusion that what I decided is correct. Don't come near me, because you're not going to hurt me. So I keep people here, like, go away. So if you see me act weird when you hug me, that's why. I try really hard to be open. I think Lorelei can contest I'm a much more free bird now than when she met me at 31 years old. I am now 50, and it's that was a great thing to learn and to work really hard for. But then something my boss did. So I did scripting. So Joyce Reynolds is one of my champions, and she taught me how to script. And I scripted the best job of my life. I scripted that I'd have a job that was like Bell South, the same kind of community. I'd have one of my bosses that worked there. I would travel internationally. I would get to work from home, and I'd make a nice salary. And mind you, I was unemployed for 3 years, and let me tell you, I was on my knees. And through scripting, I got that job. That is the job I'm in. It's pretty much almost 9 years. And my boss for most of the 9 years said to me, you need to be happier. You're too intense. You never smile. Nobody likes you. People are actually scared of you. And if it doesn't change...
Can we pause there for a second? How rude. Nobody likes you. Let me tell you, the people in my life, and hold that thought, that I count as the top of my blessing list are the one that said, quit acting like you're acting because nobody likes you. Wait, I made my whole life about being liked. They saw beyond the pretense. They saw beyond the fakeness. They saw to the juice on the inside. They quit judging me by the jar. Thank God for the people in your life. Quit pushing them away from you and invite them in. Because if they tell you something like that and you have the courage to say, there's something for me to do here, rather than kicking them and slapping them, you said, all right, let me sit in the fire and be refined.
I'll tell you, I love the job so much I had to listen to him. So I said, this blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to tell you the real words. So I think they say it in AA, fake it till you make it. So I came in, I said hi to people, and I was all chummy, and oh my God, it was hard work every day because I really wasn't, so happy is a choice. Joy is an intention. So I made a choice to be happy every day I walked in there. And what eventually happened is I truly became joyful. And so I could be happy.
I want to give you 3 words. And I want all to consider these 3 words in this equation because you've mentioned them in one form or another. Authenticity, responsibility, and intention. Pick one of them. Just pick one.
Intention.
How did that play? Authenticity, responsibility, and intention, because they were all part of your journey to who you are now, to overcome who you were not to who you are.
Is my friend Angeline in the room?
Over there.
Oh, okay. Girl, it's been 10 years next month. Angeline is my intention partner. Every day, 5 days a week, we speak at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we set an intention for the day. And these intentions have made our lives, I will speak for myself, my life, better for it. I say how my life is going to go every single day, even if I don't like what I'm about to face. And what ends up happening is what I'm about to face ends up becoming better than I thought it would be.
You're getting lots of applause here today. Keep it up. So what I'm hearing in the midst of this whole story is, anybody know anybody like this? My life is terrible. In this place where I'm at on the stage, it doesn't feel good. It feels uncomfortable. It's just rotten. Nothing's working in this, like, okay. You know, in this spot, it's just terrible and it's awful, and I don't like it here at all, and I'm just sick of it. I'm just so damn tired of that. Do you know how awful it is to sit on this stage in this spot right here? It's just awful and it's terrible. For God's sake, pick up your feet and walk to another place. For God's sake, channel something that within you that is screaming for change, is screaming for shift. I'm going to call that God. That's saying, stop defining yourself, stop whining, stop complaining, and get up, pick up your pack, and walk. Pick up your mat and walk and do something different. Try something different. Find a different relationship because you know who you are. And it may feel like that still small voice is about this big, right? With all of the crap in the jar, that little piece of paper is really hard to find. Where does God play out in your story? How does God play a part, by whatever definition of God that you have, or goddess, whatever it is, how does that play into this equation?
God is my ultimate source, period. Miracles happen. Miracles happen. And there's a thing called the in the meantime. You may have heard David from Spiritual Living Center talk about in the meantime. In the meantime, I'm going to swear now, sucks. Okay, but it could take 7 years. And something did take 7 years. My boss, to get a new boss, to have a great job, because it created something else. But the point is, God always comes through. Always comes through if you can manage in the meantime. And oh my gosh, Ella, I really want her to go to one school. They didn't give us the tuition, the financial aid. We ended up going somewhere else. I had to pay the money, and the computer's spinning and spinning and spinning. I go to lunch, I come back. Oh, who calls? The school I want her to go to. Oh, we found money for you. Please come to our school. Oh my God, yes. Yes, I mean, that is a miracle in moments. I'll never forget it for the rest of my life. Or saying, for the last 7 years, this is the job I want. If I'm going to leave what I'm doing now, this is what I want. Oh my gosh, my friend gives me the job description of the job I've wanted for the last 5 years. And I just said it the other day. I just want to help women. How do I create something like that? Oh, yep. Just right there. Or, okay, so scripting. So I script now. I could think of something and it now happens. I was sitting in that chair and I was saying, can I go and hug Lorelei before I come up here? Because she's my oldest friend at Unity. And what does she do? She comes and hugs me. Oh! That's God. That's God. That's us being all together. We belong to each other. We are one. There is no separation. And when you're in it, you will win it.
So, how many people have ever seen this scenario in your life? Okay, God's going to show up in my life. And then there's this opportunity tapping you on the shoulder over here. Hey, look over here. Go away. God's providing for me. God's going to show up exactly like this. This is exactly how it is. And over here's another opportunity. Go away. Go away. God's got this. It's the whole story of the boat that's been sent, the helicopter that was sent. And the reality is a lot of us are sitting in this spot over here. It sucks. It's terrible. It's awful. And it doesn't work. I prayed. I prayed for 2 whole days.
2 whole days.
You know, I did a meditation once. See, it doesn't work. You spoke clearly. It's as long as it takes. How long before the job manifests? How long before the relationship is different? How long before I see myself differently? How long before my life is everything I know it possibly can be? As long as it takes. Put one foot in front of the other and you're going to get there, but quit putting a timeline on what can be provided. And just be okay with whatever it is and resist the tendency to do this, to get back into the jar. Because you're going to be the same person you were 10 years ago, and you're more than that.
Can I add to that?
Please.
So then when God gives you the job description, you could be foolish enough to think you're actually going to get it, because really you have to do the next right step. Everything is the next right step. So I may not get it, and I already know if the universe tells me it is not mine, though I think it is mine in my heart. But I have to be honest. I mean, I have a little girl. I'm a single mother. There is no father. There is no help. And I would have to probably travel more. And God might be saying, you need to be with Ella. So we can't be disappointed when it does come and you don't get it, because there might be something better. I took the warrior camp with Harv Eker, and he said, you may always do something extremely scary, but if you look behind you, there's something wonderful. And I went to South Africa, and I was scared to death to go zip line across this huge mountain with a 700-foot drop. And I did Superman, believe it or not. And I looked back, and underneath the mountain where I just came from, there was a waterfall, and it was beautiful. So the point is that you may not always get what you think is yours, but there is a reason, and something more beautiful will come from it.
So, Superwoman. You didn't do Superman, you did you.
Superwoman, yes.
I want to really quickly,
Superwoman.
as we begin to wind this up, two stories, both Reverend Abel and Reverend Julie. Can you do it in 30 seconds? Abel came to me today and shared something while we were greeting each other. So can you share just really briefly about, in context?
I will go so fast with this. 4 months ago, I was recruited for a company to come work for them, and my best friend was recruited as well. And we didn't know that, and we're both sitting down to get interviewed, and she comes out, and I'm going in, and I'm like, oh, shiznit. And I was like, man, because my work situation suddenly became tenuous, and I had to quit, and she got the job. And I was like, that's good, this is my best friend, yay. So then about 2 months ago, I got recruited for another position, and the co-creator of the mindfulness program that I created for Piedmont also applied for the job. So she's my work best friend. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? And we're both single moms, all right? So on Friday, Piedmont calls me and they go, will you accept the job? And I'm like, yes, but I'm sad. And they go, and we're giving Robin the other location because the previous coordinator quit. So we both get the job. The job is too far for me, so they gave me $10,000 more a year for it without me asking. Who does that happen to?
It works. Yeah. It works if you work it. Plain and simple. Works if you work it. I'm going to ask Julie to just share a little bit, because Julie's story here, she did not get defined by the diagnosis. And she lived it publicly right here in front of this congregation and said, I'm more than this. And she did it letting her guts be out on the table.
Yeah, and I said at the early service, our strength lies in our vulnerability, right? And so as I poured my story out on Facebook, people started saying, oh, thank you so much. I have the strength now to talk about my divorce, or I have the strength now to talk about my bankruptcy. And it didn't occur to me how powerful being vulnerable could be. But it's also a balance. My dean in seminary said there's a thing called the tyranny of positivity. So sometimes we feel that we have to just be positive, but it's a balance. We can affirm, ask my mom, it's 5 minutes. I get 5 minutes to cry, stamp my feet, I hate cancer, I hate this, I hate all of it, and then it's time to move on. So without the balance of the humanity and the divinity, I think you're losing sight of what's in the middle. And honestly, without this community, I don't think my mom and I would have been able to get through it anywhere near the way we did. And I also said in the first service, having those people that you can cry with, but also having people to hold the high watch. And the two people in my life that never once let me know that I was not going to survive was my mother. And I learned from her friends that wasn't always the case. But in my mind, I never questioned it, because if mom says you're going to be okay. And then this man, too. I said, I don't know if he was ever afraid, but he let me cry, but that he never once made me think that it wasn't going to be absolutely all right. So it's a balance between allowing yourself to feel it and not camping out and setting the intention. So I want to thank everybody here because you are a huge part of that.
So, our job is to keep digging and let it all be okay and keep digging, because you will find I am the Christ. I am the Christ. I am the Buddha. I am the Atman. I am the divine essence of life. And Lori, you talking about some pretty heavy things like Landmark, Joyce Reynolds, intention groups. They get in your face. They're in your face. And those are the people you want, the ones that are in your face. I know who you are. I will not let you play small. I will find the Christ with you. Iyanla Vanzant, one of my heroes, a coach that is in the face of everybody she ever coached. I invite you to read her words with me right now. Let's go ahead and pull that quote up there. Let's read it together. I now realize that lives fall apart when they need to be rebuilt. Lives fall apart when the foundation upon which they were built needs to be relaid. Lives fall apart not because God is punishing us for what we have or have not done. Lives fall apart because they weren't built the right way in the first place. Laura, you get the last word before we go into a poetry reading and a meditation. What do you want to say to give to everybody as the gift?
Well, I find this a gift. I hope that you find it a gift, is that there are no coincidences, and everything that we struggle through is for a purpose to have higher ground in the future. Thank you for listening.
You're so beautiful.